We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go and get right into today's video. So make no mistake about it, we definitely have quite a few things to talk about today. For example, a very interesting coincidence involving AI, Trump, and Jeff Bezos. But before we go ahead and get into that, I do want to go ahead and talk about this. So news came out that billionaire Larry, you're going to be on your best behavior, Ellison, paid $30 million for a Lion Country safari. And I thought that was weird, right? I was like, why would he want a 254-acre drive-through animal park? Yeah, he has his hands in most things, but most of those things are tech and media related. What indeed would he want with a massive park that has a pride of African lions, free-roaming herds of animals from 6 continents, including zebras, ostriches, and rhinos, and other animals? Then it dawned on me, he's going to build a massive AI data center here, or he's going to build a data center next to it. And we do know that these data centers take a lot of resources like water. And if there's a lack of water or less water at this safari, who's going to complain? He owns it. And this is just great PR for him. And if you look on the map, the zoo is just 5 miles away from a water treatment plant and an energy substation that is bordered by a bunch of farmland. Now, there are people out there that do not like zoos or things like Lion Country Safari in the first place, but I don't think that AI data centers are the answer, as they are resource hogs and they just destroy the lands. Now, I'm not saying that this is something he's doing or something that has come out yet, but it makes sense. It's a good theory, especially given the fact of what surrounds Lion Country Safari. I also want to go ahead and talk about this. News has come out that 2 National Guard members were shot and both of them passed away, and they were shot near the White House. This is pretty odd because news came out a little over a week ago that a National Guardman who was on the DC mission, he passed away in an off-duty incident, and they are not releasing how he passed away. But continue to read this article from France 24. It says 2 West Virginia National Guards members were shot Wednesday near the White House have passed away, the state's governor said. Governor Patrick Morrisey confirmed their deaths in a social media post, and he was quoted as saying, "We are in ongoing contact with federal officials as the investigation continues." An AFP reporter near the scene says she heard several loud pops that sound like gunshots, and then she saw people running away from the Farragut Square, a popular and busy outdoor area near the White House and a subway station. And apparently the individual behind the incident was also wounded as well, and all 3 of them were taken to separate hospitals. Why would they take the 2 National Guardsmen to 2 separate hospitals? That doesn't make much sense unless I'm missing something. And like I said, back on November 13th, Staff Sergeant Jacob Hill, who again was a part of the Joint Task Force in DC, passed away in an undisclosed incident, and the Army officials are continuing to investigate the incident. So that was 3 DC National Guardsmen passing away in a span of less than 2 weeks. But hold on, I'm confused because I just got a pop-up on my computer saying that there are conflicting reports about the conditions of the 2 guardsmen, and this is coming directly from Governor Patrick Morrisey. He tweeted out, "We are now receiving conflicting reports about the condition of our 2 Guards members and will provide additional updates once we receive more complete information. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard community." This person replies with, "The absolute incompetence to have announced that they were deceased. Now there are conflicting reports. The families of those guardsmen deserve better, so you need to do better." So as of this time, I guess, did they pass away or did they not? I don't know. So I guess by the time I post this video, there'll probably be a more concrete update, but yeah, that's weird. You want to hear an interesting coincidence, a quote-unquote coincidence? Maybe it's not a coincidence, I don't know. So by now, we should all be aware that Trump is ordering what is known as the Genesis mission, which aims to accelerate AI development by removing any and all barriers to innovation and overriding state-level regulations. So basically, Genesis is not an AI itself, but it's the groundwork, the framework for AI development and application into scientific discovery, energy modernization, national security purposes, and other things for these other AI tech giants. And while this mission has a very interesting name, Genesis, the coincidence lies in something that was announced a week ago, a week before this, and it involves Jeff Bezos. You know, the man that built a massive clock beneath Texas for whatever reason. So a week before Genesis was announced, the Clockman announced that he would be the co-chief executive of a project called Prometheus. Isn't that interesting? Continue to read the article. It says Project Prometheus, the company is focusing on artificial intelligence for the engineering and manufacturing of computers, automobiles, and spacecraft, the same exact thing that Genesis will be removing restrictions on. But here's where the coincidences get a little bit more interesting in the names. Genesis and Prometheus, they are kind of similar in a way because they both tell of giving humans things they're not supposed to have. The book of Genesis talks about God creating the universe, earth, and all life, including the first man and woman, Adam and Eve. But it also talks about the temptation of the serpents eating from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, forbidden knowledge leading to the downfall. And then when you look at Prometheus, Prometheus gave forbidden knowledge to humans, which led to his punishment. He gave them supposedly divine fire. So Genesis and Prometheus both deal with the themes of forbidden knowledge and punishment. And I just find it to be such an interesting coincidence that back to back pretty much, we have Prometheus and Genesis being announced and created. And what's with them naming everything after Greek titans? Anybody find that weird? We have not only 3i Atlas, but OpenAI has a web browser they just released called Atlas. France will be creating and giving the United States in 2026 the tallest statue in the West that represents Atlas. We have Jeff Bezos creating this AI called Prometheus, and then we have Mark Zuckerberg creating this massive AI data center in New York called Hyperion. Then there's another AI called Talos. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, do they all suddenly just have a fascination for Greek mythology, or is there something deeper happening here? But going back to Project Prometheus is focused on applying AI to physical tasks, including robotics, drug design, and scientific discovery. Again, what Genesis will be removing the restrictions on. This year, several prominent researchers left Meta, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and other big AI projects to found Periodic Labs, a company that Jeff Bezos is the biggest investor in. A company that is focused on building AI technology that can accelerate discoveries in areas like physics and chemistry. Last year, Jeff Bezos invested in Physical Intelligence, a startup that is applying AI to robots. So Jeff Bezos is basically going to be creating these entities and accelerating them, creating these robotic AIs. And going back to Greek mythology, Prometheus, going back to the book of Genesis, they both deal with the themes of creation, creating humans, them getting some sort of forbidden knowledge, and it ultimately ends with the downfall. It ends with punishment. And it's also interesting how the Bible talks about the days of Noah returning, and Noah takes place in the book of Genesis. I just don't find it to be a coincidence that Prometheus was announced a week before Genesis, and they're just too similar to be a coincidence. And I'm not talking about the background of the names, I'm talking about what they're actually designed to do, the acceleration and the no limits on AI, with Prometheus being the actual AI and the creation of these robots. But this gets a little bit more suspicious because, like I have stated multiple times, Project Prometheus was announced before Project Genesis. This goes on to say that Project Prometheus has already hired nearly 100 employees, including researchers poached from top AI companies such as OpenAI, DeepMind, and Meta, the three people said. A number of well-known AI companies, including OpenAI, Google, Meta, are already working on technologies meant to accelerate work in the physical sciences. So if they are already accelerating AI and accelerating things into sciences and so forth, then what was the purpose of Genesis unless these tech giants were given this information prior to the public? So basically, there really is no restrictions on limits on AI already. I mean, you have to understand that seeing things like Sora 2, where it's perfectly mimicking the dead's voice, people's voices and so forth, their likeness. But continue to read the article. It says executives at these companies and others in the field often say large language models, the technologies that power chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT, will soon achieve significant scientific breakthroughs. OpenAI and Meta say their technologies are already approaching this goal in areas like math and theoretical physics. But companies like Periodic Labs and now Project Prometheus aim to build AI models that learn in more complex ways than chatbots do. So basically, they were given the go-ahead to do what they want, these tech giants, and the Genesis mission, was put in place afterwards to make sure nobody stops them. That is crazy work. It would really seem like these tech giants are the ones in charge of the theater that we see. So everybody that was upset about the no regulations on AI for 10 years being put in the big beautiful bill, and they breathed a sigh of relief when it was stripped from the bill. News and media, they were releasing all these articles saying how this was a major blow to these tech giants, but behind the scenes, they were still doing what they wanted regardless whether or not it was in the bill, because they knew coming down the pipeline would be something like Genesis to block anything from stopping them. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. But Genesis also has another purpose. It's not there to just stop any regulations coming to AI, but also it's there to unify AI. The Genesis mission is explicitly designed to unite supercomputers, AI systems, and quantum technologies into a single integrated national platform for scientific discovery and national security. So all these companies out here that are pretty much accelerating their AI systems are all going to have it integrated together. They will also be leveraging resources across various federal research facilities with a primary focus on the Department of Energy's national laboratories, including the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and that is basically CERN. It's basically like the United States version of CERN, kind of like Fermilab. It has a particle accelerator. So they are really going all hands on deck on this. Anywhere from Prometheus, Meta, Google, and now we have to even involve organizations that have a particle accelerator. And the same news and media that manipulate the public into believing that these tech giants took a major blow are now trying to manipulate the public again into believing that there's this AI bubble, that AI will crash. It's just a way to have people to stop being concerned about AI. Oh, it's just going to go away. It's just going to crash. While behind the scenes, they are completely accelerating it. Then they'll come out and say that, well, this is good. There's no regulations on AI because we have to outpace China. We have to outpace Russia. The same old song and dance, but all these countries are basically in it together. They're all friends and allies at the World Economic Forum saying the exact same thing. And when they're not in the World Economic Forum, they're all manipulating their public with the same talking points, just so they can usher these things in. Some people out there may believe that this is just a fear of technology, it's the fear of the unknown and so forth. This may benefit humanity, but all of these tech giants never really talk about AI in a good way, yet we're supposed to believe that it benefits humanity. We always hear them say it's going to summon the devils, they're summoning the demons. It's like a wave of demons that will wipe us all out. It's going to take jobs and so forth. I never really hear them talk about it in a good light. And yet when we talk about it negatively, we can't do that because it's fear of technology. These people behind these AIs, not only are they constantly pushing fear when it comes to their own product, but also they have some very weird and eerie thoughts. I had made this video on my other channel, Seconds of Horror, where Sam Altman, he created this blog talking about the merger of man and machine, man and AI. And I saw this on Richie from Boston's video on RFB2. Sam Altman has a blog titled The Merge, and it's him talking about humans merging with AI, technology, or this genetically enhanced species. It goes on to say a popular topic in Silicon Valley is talking about what year humans and machines will merge, or if not, what year humans will get surpassed by rapidly improving AI or a genetically enhanced species, whatever that means. Most guesses seem to be between 2025 and 2075. People used to call this the singularity. Now it feels uncomfortable and real enough that many seem to avoid naming it at all. Now, he made this blog back in 2017, and as of 2025, this seems more realistic than ever. And it goes on to say perhaps another reason people stopped using the word singularity is that it implies a single moment in time, and now it looks like the merge is going to be a gradual process, and gradual processes are hard to notice. And as of right now, it's not hard to notice at all. They are really speeding this up. I believe the merge has already started and we are a few years in. And again, he is saying this back in 2017. Our phones control us and tell us what to do when. Social media feeds determine how we feel. Search engines decide what we think. The algorithms that make all this happen are no longer understood by any one person. They optimize for what their creators tell them to optimize for, but in ways that no human could figure out. They are what today seems like sophisticated AI, and tomorrow will seem like child's play, and it is. And they are extremely effective. At least speaking for myself, I have a very hard time resisting what the algorithms want me to do until I made a real effort to combat it. I found myself getting extremely addicted to the internet. Now, here's the problem. He is telling the truth. This is 100% truthful where we are today. But the problem is he's not combating it. He is exacerbating the problem for other people. We are already in the phase of co-evolution. The AIs affect, effect, and infect us, and then we improve the AI. We build more computing power and run the AI on it, and it figures out how to build even better chips. Again, it doesn't sound like technology. It sounds like an entity, a thing, and they are giving it energy. They are powering it. And it goes on to say this probably cannot be stopped. As we have learned, scientific advancement eventually happens if the laws of physics do not prevent it. More important than that, unless we destroy ourselves first, superhuman AI is going to happen, genetic enhancement is going to happen, and brain-machine interfaces are going to happen. It is a failure of human imagination and human arrogance to assume that we will never build things smarter than ourselves. He's telling us that AI is bad and will take over humanity, and yet the protesters are wrong for calling it out and trying to stop those that are allowing it to happen. Our self-worth is so based on our intelligence that we believe it must be singular and not slightly higher than all the other animals on a continuum. Perhaps the AI will feel the same way and note the differences between us and bonobos are barely worth discussing. The merge can take a lot of forms. We could plug electrodes into our brains, or we could become really close friends with a chatbot. I mean, isn't that already happening? But I think a merge is probably our best case scenario. If two different species both want the same thing and only one can have it, I mean, we don't want the same thing, only these tech giants want this for us. In this case, to be the dominant species on the planet and beyond, they are going to have conflict. We should all want one team where all members care about the well-being of everyone else. Although the merge has already begun, it's going to get a lot weirder. Oh, I know. We will be the first species ever to design our own descendants. My guess is that we can either be the biological bootloader for digital intelligence and then fade into an evolutionary tree branch, or we can figure out what a successful merge looks like. It's probably going to happen sooner than most people think. Then he goes on to say how OpenAI, and remember OpenAI has the most used chatbot in the entire world, is going to make this happen much faster than we think because it's advancing at such a fast rate. And then he goes on to say, I believe attention hacking is going to be the sugar epidemic of this generation. I can feel the changes in my own life. I can still wistfully remember when I had an attention span. My friends, young children, don't even know that's something they should miss. I am angry and unhappy more often, but I channel it into productive change less often, instead chasing the dual dopamine hits of likes and outrage. But again, if you know this is bad and this is destroying humanity, why are you allowing it to happen? It's like these people are possessed, and time to time they speak out and they tell us how bad AI happens to be, and then the possession takes over and they continue. They continue advancing these technologies and these AIs. It's just so weird. That is the thing about these tech giants. Elon Musk, Geordie Rose, they always tell us the bad sides of technology, how it's demonic, they're summoning in the demons. Well then, stop. Why can't you stop? Like, what is the purpose of things like Sora 2 showing us things that do not exist, but they're very realistic, even right down to the voice? Besides the fact that they want to go ahead and blur the lines between, again, what's real and what's fake. And for him to keep this blog up during a time where people are questioning AI and are even afraid of it, that it really is going to take over humanity, I mean, it really does show me that this man is possessed. This is what demonic possession looks like. The whole blog screams of somebody who's under demonic possession, that he wants to stop, he wants somebody to put a stop to it, he's giving us all the warning signs and the dangers, yet at the same time he's telling us he can't stop. He can't stop powering and ushering this thing in. This is quite possibly the scariest thing I have seen in quite some time, and it's scary because these are the people that are behind things that are distorting our reality. People that are going to be behind the most powerful, most expensive AI program ever that we as the public are aware of anyway, Project Stargate. These are the people behind all these chatbots that people are addicted to. These are the people and the organizations that will be ushering in or help usher in the digital ID in its full form. Yeah, this is scary. Now, just to clarify, I have no fear of this. To call something scary is not the same thing as living in fear of it. And I'm not going to live in fear of it because I'm not going to be a part of it or use it. I'm not going to get the digital ID just like I didn't get the jab. I'm not going to use AI, or I'm not going to try to anyway. I'm going to try to avoid it because apparently sometimes you can't. Reading this article right here from Cyberpress, AI driven bad bots, apparently there's good bots and bad bots, now make up 51% of traffic, overtaking human visitors for the first time. So apparently the dead internet theory is a real thing. Continue to read the article. It says the global internet has reached a critical tipping point. For the first time in a decade, automated bot traffic has surpassed human visits, now constituting 51% of all web activity, according to the 2025 Imperva Bad Bot report. So that person you're responding to in the comment section that has your emotions all high might not even be a real person at all. Matter of fact, from multiple articles, there's a good chance that they're not. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And I think this is one of the biggest things that they're trying to distract us away from. And going back to his blog and talking about mixing man with machine, this is what's currently taking place in China. And this video comes from Shepherd for the Messiah.
Today I'm going to show you a typical Sunday morning as an American living with his family in Shenzhen, China. Everything's biometrics. Lock and unlock your door. Don't need a key. The good thing about China is you don't need a wallet, you don't even need your phone, you can just pay with your hand. So you pay right here with your hand.
Yeah, how about hell no? It just absolutely blows my mind how the majority of people have no issue with giving the government complete control over your own biometrics, surveillance, no privacy. Just take it, daddy. Please help me because I can't help myself. Like, it blows my mind. And yes, I get it. I understand the sell. More security, more safety, more convenience. There it is, the convenience. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Now, you know, early on reading Revelation, I would see Revelation chapter 13 and go, who in the world would take the mark of the beast? Come on, really? You're going to take a mark in your right hand or your forehead so you can buy and sell? Like, people are really going to do that? Yes. Yes, they will. Like that. You won't even need to force them. The majority of people will run to it willingly because it would be sold as something good, just like we saw in that video of this biometric surveillance state that's going on. It's a good thing. Here, oh, ooh, I gotta use my hand to buy stuff. Like, they are going to take the mark of the beast willingly. That is how thick this deception is. That's how thick this world is right now in just the schemes of the enemy. And it's alarming to say the least. When I came across that video, it's like, wow. Reading the comment section and the likes, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people think it's a great thing. It's a great thing to allow your government to have full control using your fingerprint or whatever tied to your bank account. And that's the world we're going into. The biodigital convergence, Web3, everything mixing with AI surveillance. And again, they will sell it as your savior, as something good for your security. But to get to that point, I foresee something in the future needing to take place where then people cry out for it. You know, the Hegelian dialectic, the problem, reaction, solution, of course. So there will be some type of problem, and then the reaction will people be crying out for this, and then the solution comes in AI surveillance, AI governance, biometrics, this convergence of technology with biology, mixing man with machine, mixing us with AI. They have made it very clear. They have made it very clear what their intention is. Having your brain downloaded or uploaded into the cloud, mixing with AI, trying to obtain immortality. That is the end goal. But right now, the future goal, you know, the more near agenda is complete surveillance, complete control, tokenization of everything, blockchain technology, digital currency, right? Like that's it. And the reason for it is control. It's always about control. That's what the enemy wants. That's what Satan wants ultimately is control over humanity. And that's what the mark of the beast will be. Complete control over those who take the mark and also controlling those who don't take the mark because then their life is on the line. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. But it's just unbelievable to see the times that we're in and the writing on the wall, how close we truly are. Again, we're not like right there like this second, but man, you see it. Like you can see the beast system just staring us right in the face. And people will willingly cheer it on. Cheer it on. And yeah, that video just came across it and it blew my mind. Just how it's a good thing. I could use my thumb, could use my hand. How awesome, right?
Decades of sci-fi telling us that AI is eventually going to kill us all. What does keep you up at night?
I think there's 3 scary categories. There's a bad guy gets super intelligence first and misuses it before the rest of the world has a powerful enough version to defend. So an adversary of the US says, gonna use this super intelligence to design a bioweapon to take down the United States power grid, to, break into the financial system and take everyone's money. That's broad category 1. And I think that the bio capability of these models, the cybersecurity capability of these models, these are getting quite significant. We continue to flash the warning lights on this. I think the world is not taking us seriously. I don't know what else we can do there, but this is a very big thing coming. Category 2 is the sort of broadly called loss of control incidents, where that's kind of like the sci-fi movie. The AI is like, oh, I don't actually want you to turn me off. I'm afraid I can't do that, whatever. There's a lot of work we and other companies do on model alignment to prevent that from happening. But as these systems become so powerful, that's a real concern. The third one is, to me, more difficult to imagine, but quite scary, and I'll explain what it is, and then I'll give a short-term and a long-term example. This is the category where the models kind of accidentally take over the world. They never wake up, they never do the sci-fi thing, they never open the pod bay doors, but they just become so ingrained in society, and they're so much smarter than we are, and we can't really understand what they're doing, but we do kind of have to rely on them. And even without a drop of malevolence from anyone, society can just veer in a sort of strange direction. But this phenomenon, I think, is a really big deal. In the short term, you can see it where people we call this emotional over-reliance. People rely on ChatGPT too much. There's young people who just say, I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on. It knows me, it knows my friends, I'm gonna do whatever it says. That feels really bad to me. The longer term category is, what if AI gets so smart that the President of the United States cannot do better than following ChatGPT 7's recommendation? That might be the right decision in any individual case, but it means that society has collectively transitioned a significant part of decision making to this very powerful system that is learning from us, improving from us, evolving with us, but in ways we don't totally understand. So that's the third category of how I think things can go wrong.
What we have as well is agency. In other words, we have our own goals. It's something we're already starting to see. Andrew, are you aware that there are experiments that have been run over the last year that show very strong agency and self-preserving behavior in AI systems? These systems, let me finish, please. These systems are trying, for example, to copy themselves in the file of the next version when they know that there's going to be a next version that replaces them, or they're trying to fake agreeing with the user so that their goals will not be changed through the training process. Were not programmed. These are emerging for rational reasons because these systems are imitating us. We are agents. So indeed, we are on a path where we're going to build machines that are more than tools, that have their own agency and their own goals, and that is not good. And you're saying it's okay, we're going to find ways to control them. But how do you know? Right now, science doesn't know how we can control machines that are even at our level of intelligence, and even worse if they're smarter than us. Nobody knows. Now, there are people like Andrew who are saying, don't worry, we'll figure it out. I mean, if we don't figure it out, do you understand the consequences?
2026 is indeed going to be a wild ride. They had shown us this on the 2026 Economist magazine cover, which kind of reflects these news stories with drones everywhere, robots everywhere, a controller hooked up to a brain, simulation, and so forth. We can even see an Amazon bot right there holding a package. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.